As COVID-19 cases continue to rise steadily in Europe, Germany's health minister has issued a stark warning, saying that the current curbs will not be enough to stop a fresh COVID-19 wave.
Also Schutzmaßnahmen, die wir derzeit nutzen, die der Delta-Welle ja quasi erfolgreich begegnen, diese Maßnahmen werden nicht reichen, einen deutlichen Anstieg der Omikron-Fälle zu verhindern. Auch ich wünsche Ihnen einen guten Übergang ins neue Jahr. Sind Sie bitte vorsichtig und bis zur nächsten Gelegenheit. Vielen Dank Ihnen.
This warning comes a day after Germany imposed further restrictions. Nightclubs are now shut. Sporting events will be held without an audience. Private gatherings have been limited to 10 vaccinated people. These rules come after Germany significantly tightened rules for the unvaccinated who have been barred from shops, restaurants and cultural events as well. But the health minister thinks that these curbs are not sufficient. While Germany is currently reporting a falling trend in the daily new infections, the health minister remains skeptical of the figures, saying that the true number of the cases is not being reflected. Since fewer tests are being conducted over the Christmas holiday season, therefore chances are that the real incidence rate is 2 or 3 times that of the current rate. Meanwhile, several hundred people took to the streets of Munich on Wednesday, all calling for an end to restrictions against the unvaccinated. The protesters braved the rain to walk through the streets peacefully, followed by the police personnel. The surge, currently the worst in Europe, is forcing governments to walk a tightrope between imposing restrictions to stop governments from becoming overwhelmed and the need to keep their economies open 2 years after the virus first emerged. And for more on these developments, our correspondent Trent Murray sent us this report from Berlin. Take a look.
Well, what we are seeing in the official data is that cases are starting to fall just a little bit. But that data comes with a very big grain of salt because the health minister here says he expects that there is significant underreporting because of the Christmas break. In other words, in a number of regions across Germany, health officials may have taken a few days off and stopped reporting cases accurately. And as you said, he believes that the actual incidence rate across Germany could be 2 to 3 times higher than the official data shows. You only really have to look at Germany's neighbours to get an idea of why he thinks that. So in the past 24 hours, Germany reported around 42,000 new COVID-19 cases. Heading west to France, well, they reported over 200,000. Quite a discrepancy there, and it's worth remembering Germany is a much bigger country than France population-wise. So clearly it underscores the fact that there is probably not accurate data being put out by health officials in some regions. For that reason, the health minister here is very cautious about the coming New Year's Eve. Well, in the immediate term, there will be a really big cap on those New Year's Eve celebrations. Those big kind of iconic scenes that we're used to seeing at that Brandenburg Gate behind me will all but be cancelled. Crowds are being told not to come and celebrate in public. And if you are having a private party, well, you'll need to make sure you don't have more than 10 guests, because if you do, you'll be in breach of the rules. And all of those 10 guests need to be vaccinated. If you have one unvaccinated guest, well, the cap goes right down. You can only have 2 households meeting. On top of that, we are seeing a number of closures, things like nightclubs and discotheques being closed. I think in the new year, most controversially, there will be legislation starting to be prepared possibly for mandatory vaccinations. About 71% of the German population has received both of their vaccines. The government would like to see that higher, and for a long time they've been trying to convince people to get their shots, but it seems in the new year they will be looking at compelling them to do that with some form of new mandate.
WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.